As a job seeker, you need to have a content strategy on LinkedIn, and I'm here to tell you exactly what you need to do in order to achieve that. With LinkedIn content, it's really important that you put the right message out there because your potential hiring managers are looking, recruiters are looking, and it gives you the opportunity to get seen for all the right reasons. And it can be a bit of a minefield out there when you've got floods of open to work posts, people who like posting things that conflict with one each other when it comes to tips about how to handle the job market, and a lot of negative energy about the job market that's typically out there. So it makes it really challenging to feel positive about what you can put out there on LinkedIn. So this video will teach you exactly what you need to do in order to make sure that if you're a job seeker and you're on the market, your strategy gets you hired and gets you more opportunities. I'm Tony McBride. I'm a career transition coach, and I help mid to senior professionals move from one career to the next with CV writing, interview coaching, and job search strategies like LinkedIn content. Before we begin, I want to talk about the fact that LinkedIn is a professional network. Whenever you're using LinkedIn, you need to make sure that the content that you're putting on there represents the type of brand you want to have when you're in the office, when you're in a job, when you're working professionally. If you try to navigate away from that and fall into negative comments or posting stuff that isn't as relevant to the kind of work that you do, then that's what you become known for. And it's important to make sure that your LinkedIn profile and the content that you post matches the professional image that you like to have in the office. So bear that in mind because it's easy to lose sight of that when you're in the comments and when you're seeing the kind of activity that you see every day. But what should you post once you do start using LinkedIn? So let's start with open to work. First of all, don't use the standard LinkedIn template. It's not that there's anything wrong with the template. The only thing that is wrong with it is that it's so overused that it gets lost in translation these days. It's much better to put it in your own words and let people know exactly what you're thinking or what your out of work status is. Be specific about the type of role that you're going for, okay? So if you mention that your previous role was a project manager and you're looking forward to your next project management role, you're going to have people message you about junior PMO roles or people messaging you about senior digital transformation program manager roles. And you're not going to want to be able to do either of those. It'll be one or the other or something different entirely. So make sure you mention the geographical location or the fact that you need remote opportunities or are open to remote opportunities, and mention the types of roles and the levels that you're looking at. And if you're quite specific as well, the industry that you're targeting, because then you'll not get people wasting your time with potential opportunities that are not relevant to you whatsoever. I'd also say don't post on Mondays, and that's probably a weird one to hear, but so many people do it on a Monday. I think the mentality of people who are job seeking and maybe aren't in work is that they wake up, they've got a certain task list for the week, and one of them is to post an open to work post on Monday, but the feed is flooded with it and it just loses that chance for you to stand out. So try it on any other day of the week except Monday, because that's when people tend to post most, meaning that yours is going to get seen less often. And finally, do it once a month. That gives enough traction to get new followers to see your open to work post and make sure that you stay relevant and open, if you're still open to work, of course, by the time the month has passed. Next, let's talk about the kind of content that you should be producing, okay? A lot of people lean into the job search content, so give it an update on how your job search has been going, potentially complaining about your job search or kind of talking about the negative elements of it. And I would try to steer you away from that because, again, the goal of posting content on LinkedIn should exclusively be to help you get hired and help hiring managers and recruiters find you or see the kind of quality of a candidate that you are. So if you're consistently posting about the job market and how negative it might be or anything related to that, that doesn't impress job hiring managers or recruiters. So what you should be doing instead is posting content that is relevant to your industry or your profession. So something related to your industry that might be a news trend or market trend or some story about your work experience potentially that showcases your skills and experience. But ultimately, it should be related to the type of work that you do, so that people can see that you're a subject matter expert. And when recruiters look at your profile, they get a better sense of what you should be doing. If you're not a creator, if you're not the kind of person who enjoys producing these posts, follow people who are deemed subject matter experts or influencers in your industry or your experience, your work experience, and then repost their content. When you're reposting it, add your perspective so it's really clear that you have an opinion on it. but it's much easier to do and has a very similar impact compared to producing content yourself if that's not your thing. Try to do something once a fortnight, okay? It doesn't need to be more frequent than that. It's not about the volume of comments or likes that you get off the back of things. It's more to do with when people find your profile, they can see the type of activity that you've done, okay? So just while we're on the topic of engagement, I want to shift the perspective of the type of engagement and whether you get likes and comments. So many people are out there thinking, right, the more likes I get, the better. And if you post a controversial opinion about the job market, you'll get more likes and people see that as a great thing and it gets more perspective. But likes, comments, reposts, etc. are more about quality and not quantity. So you want to make sure that you're posting content that's relevant to what you are doing, and it goes back to the previous point. If you do that, the right people see your content, and that's more important than more people seeing your content. So don't sweat it if your post literally gets no likes or no comments. That's okay, because you don't know how many people who are relevant to your industry have seen that. And once they've seen it, and they might be a recruiter or a hiring manager who are probably never likely to comment or like on it, that's the important thing. So don't sweat it about the engagement side of things. So if you're enjoying these tips, remember to like, comment. If you have a question, subscribe and follow me so you can learn more tips like this. And find me on socials for Tony McBride at Career Coach. And the last thing I'll leave you with is to just focus on the comments in terms of not making sure you're leaning into the negativity. The comments that you make in social media on any platform are really visible because you can often be found or reposted or shared in a newsfeed because you've commented or engaged with something. So if you're commenting on a lot of negative press about anything in relation to social media, then the algorithm shows you more of that as well, and that leans into your well-being. That causes concerns around the type of content you're absorbing, while you're already potentially in quite a vulnerable place if you're not able to do any job searching or struggling to find a role. So try to lean out of that content and engaging with it. I know it might feel a relief to see some of those things and see other people going through that journey, but the more you lean into it, the more visible that becomes. And a winning strategy is about producing content that is relevant and going to move you along the dial when it comes to getting hired. Good luck on your job searches.